is Marsha, and I just want to make something clear. I'm from New York, so I'm told that I still have an accent. I don't hear it, but we talk with our hands a lot, so. And it's not the wine, because, you know, I just slur my words a lot. I had stayed at the Beatitude House about 10 years ago. This program helped me to become whole, to live and to give back. That is what I gained from the Beatitude House. I'm a registered nurse, and I've worked at Salem Hospital for several years. Now I work for Hospice of the Valley, and I love it. I love it because I can look at a patient or family members, and I don't see their faults, and I don't see their struggles, I don't see their disease, but I see what the sisters saw in me, love and acceptance. I was married for 5 years to a wonderful man. We had a child and moved to Ohio, near his family. That's when things turned bad. Domestic violence. For 5 more years, I lived in violence. I thought I could fix a problem. I thought to myself, man, I've accomplished so much. I've traveled the country, I could fix this. But living in a violent situation, I was no longer a strong person. I was no longer a person. I was isolated, living out in the country, where I had no one, no family, no friends. I felt that I was worth nothing. I felt lower than dirt. Who would believe me? This is what most women feel and go through with domestic violence. I didn't want to live. I wasn't a person any longer, but I had a 5-year-old son to take care of. I saw a pamphlet for Sojourner at YSU for battered women. I realized there was help and that I wasn't alone. To be honest, I don't know how the sisters in the Beatitude House got involved. I just remember visiting with Sister Margaret and crying with appreciation when she showed me the playground in the back of the apartments for the kids. I was crying because I knew my son and I were going to be okay. Somebody believed in me, and I wasn't alone. Beatitude helped me with my education. They helped me raise my son. They didn't forget about me. I remember Sister Diane taking me to set up a savings account with $5. I laughed because she was grinning from ear to ear, and I was sitting there thinking, you're kidding me, $5? But I looked back at it and realized that it was a step, one of many to follow. Doing laundry for myself, a step. Cleaning, another step. Cooking, well, I'm still working on that one. These things we all take for granted. For me, they were steps on becoming whole again. I think Sister Diane realized at the bank that it wasn't the money. I was on my way of being whole. Being able to think for myself and being able to help myself. Being able to make my mistakes, live through them, and be stronger because of them. I remember Sister Diane and I laughing because I was so excited that I bought colored underwear. I never bought colored underwear before. And this too was a step of being whole, of being a person, and being a woman. I think that's when I realized that I was going to be okay. Living in the city of Youngstown had its challenges. It was a culture shock. My son and I would drive and get lost, but I would say, oh honey, we're on an adventure. We had many, many adventures. We still talk about them now, especially since he's driving now. Being the only child, he learned to play with other kids who were not like himself. He He loved the sisters, and they all loved him. I remember moving in, opening my closet door in the apartment, and seeing how empty it was. I was worried and concerned because I had nothing, no clothes, nothing. And God telling me that my closet will be full. At the end of my 2 years, my closet was full in more ways than one. The sisters allowed me and encouraged me to continue with church and my son to be active in many activities. I was able to receive counseling. The sisters knew I still loved my husband and that I believed in marriage. The time I lived at Beatitude House allowed me to heal and to be whole again, and to allow time for me and my husband to receive counseling. After the 2 years, we were able to unite and be a family again. Well, my husband and I have been married for 22 years. I work full-time, and I have a wonderful, healthy 17-year-old boy who I'm very, very proud of. And I have a savings account more than $5 in it. And yes, I still buy colored underwear. To finish, if it wasn't for the sisters, the many volunteers, the staff, and the generous people like you, I and many other women would not be here, and I want to thank you.
Just two of hundreds of stories that have touched so many women's lives over 20 years. It is now my pleasure to introduce Paul Basinger, who will begin our live auction. And thank you again for being with us this evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you put your hands together for the sisters at the Beatitude House? For the volunteers that, give them a standing ovation if you would. For the volunteers that serve on the board, for those people that give of their time day in, day out, because there are no throwaways in God's kingdom. Okay? Amen. You can be seated. Okay, that was a short, little short sermon. Anyhow.